everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Stephanie and I do food related content here on my channel. I'm super excited for today's video because we are doing a second cookbook collab. If you missed the first one, I'll have it linked down below. Go check it out. But this is a great collaboration video. We are sharing recipes from cookbooks. We are bringing back the books. This collab is hosted by Tamara over at Southern Wife Everyday Life. I'll have the link to her channel down below. I'll also have the link to the playlist for this collab down below as well. So be sure to go check that out once you're done watching this video. It's a collab with a bunch of lovely ladies here on YouTube. You're not gonna wanna miss it. So I actually went ahead and bought a new cookbook for this one, and I'm super excited to try out these recipes. So without further ado, let's head on over to the kitchen and let's get started. Alright, so this is the recipe I'll be making for you today. It's these pulled barbecue chicken sandwiches with pineapple slaw. And I'm super excited to try these. They sound fabulous. So these are the ingredients. I'm actually not going to be showing you all of the ingredients, but I'll have these listed in the description box down below. I'm just very short on time today, so I need to get this done as quickly as possible. So here is what they look like. They look super delicious, so I'm super excited to give them a try. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to show you the ingredients for the coleslaw real quick. And like I said before, the rest of the ingredients will be listed below. So for the pineapple coleslaw, you will need 1 shredded carrot. You're then going to need 1.5 teaspoons of sugar, 1/4 cup of fresh or canned pineapple chunks finely chopped, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 1 green cabbage, about 3 cups of shredded green cabbage, as well as about 3 cups of red shredded cabbage. You also need 3/4 cup of mayonnaise, some green onions, and some salt and pepper. So I'm just going to start by chopping up my cabbage. Now that I'm done with the cabbage, I'm going to thinly cut my green onions and chop up my pineapple. So everything is chopped up. Now I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to get started on my dressing. In a bowl, I'm adding 3/4 cup of mayonnaise, now I'm going to add in my sugar, which is 1.5 teaspoons. And here you're supposed to add 2 tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar, but as I'm editing this right now, I noticed that I only put 1 tablespoon in there. It still tasted amazing, so I guess it's not a big deal. Now I'm adding 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt and 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Going to mix it all up, and then I'm going to pour this over my slaw and give it a good toss. Now I'm going to cover this and place it in the fridge until we are ready to serve. Now I'm just going to season 3 boneless skinless chicken breasts with some salt and pepper on each side. I also pounded them to flatten them out so that they cook more evenly. The recipe actually calls for chicken thighs, but I used chicken breast and it still turned out great. Now I'm going to quickly cut up an onion in thin slices. Here I have a can of chipotle peppers in adobo sauce, and I'm going to chop up a few, and you need about a tablespoon for the recipe. I'm leaving the seeds in, but you can remove them if you want. It says to leave the seeds if you want it more spicy, but I didn't find the chicken to be spicy at all. It just tasted really, really good. Now we're going to cook our chicken. I've heated up some oil here in a large skillet, and you want to make sure that the oil is nice and hot before you add in your chicken. So we're just going to brown them until they are nice and golden, about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. The recipe actually says to use a Dutch oven. I don't have one, but as long as you have something with a lid, it'll work just fine. The chicken has cooked for about 4 minutes on each side, and now I'm going to transfer them onto a plate and set it aside. Now in the same pan, I'm going to add in my onions. I did remove some of the oil though because I had put way too much in there. So now I'm going to season them with salt and pepper, and I'm going to saute these for about 8 to 9 minutes until they are nice and golden. Now I'm adding 1.5 teaspoons of minced garlic, and I'm going to let this cook for another minute or so. Once your garlic is nice and fragrant, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste and cook this for another 2 minutes, and you want to stir it constantly. Now I'm adding in 1/2 cup of ketchup. Here I have 1/3 cup of tomato sauce. I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of water and then 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and then 1 tablespoon of the chipotle peppers. Finally, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of dried mustard and then 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. I'm going to mix this together, then I'm going to bring this to a boil and then let it simmer uncovered for 4 to 5 minutes. So it's been about 5 minutes and the sauce has thickened up nicely, so now I'm going to add my chicken back to the pan. I'm just flipping the chicken to get it nicely coated on each side, and I'm gonna add some extra sauce on top. Now I'm going to cover this, and you want to let it simmer for about an hour. You'll want to check on it though, because mine was done after 50 minutes. Make sure you have an internal temperature of at least 165. After about 50 minutes, I went in and checked the internal temperature and it was done. Now I'm quickly going to take the chicken out of the pan and shred it with 2 forks. You can shred it directly inside your pan if you want, but I don't want to risk scratching it. I also did end up adding a little bit of water after about 20 minutes because the sauce was getting a little dry. Now she actually mentions this in the recipe, so make sure to keep an eye on it. I cannot recommend this recipe enough. It was absolutely delicious. The best barbecue pulled chicken I've ever had. You guys need to try it. The homemade barbecue sauce is everything, and paired up with the pineapple slaw, perfection. I had never had pineapple coleslaw before, but the taste of the pineapple mixed in with the sauce of the chicken is just amazing. This is going to be a go-to recipe for sure. Next up, I'll be making this cheesy chicken Milanese, and guys, this was fabulous and I'm so excited to share it with you. So let's get started. For this one, you will need about 1 cup of flour, 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and you want these to be very thin as you can get them. Now I don't have a meat pounder, so what I did is I wrapped my chicken in saran wrap and pounded it with a rolling pin. Now in the book, she actually suggests an empty wine bottle if you don't have the meat pounder, so I guess that could be another option for you if you want, but just use whatever you have on hand. You're also going to need some balsamic vinegar. This is just to drizzle on top of your chicken before serving. You're also going to need some plain breadcrumbs as well as some panko breadcrumbs. Apparently mixing the two together makes the chicken much more crispier. You need 4 eggs, some Parmesan cheese for garnish, some cayenne pepper, as well as salt and pepper, and then some mozzarella cheese. So I'm going to start by preheating my oven at 325 degrees. Then you're going to need 3 bowls, and you're going to fill the first one with some flour. The second one will have your egg wash, and then the third one will have the breadcrumbs. So I'm going to get these ready, and then we'll get started on our chicken. In the first bowl right here, I'm going to mix together the flour with some kosher salt, some black pepper, and some cayenne pepper. Now, she doesn't have any measurements for the seasoning, so you're just going to have to eyeball it. I ended up adding a teaspoon of the cayenne pepper. Now I'm going to place the eggs in the second bowl and simply whisk them together. In the last bowl, I'm adding 1 cup of plain breadcrumbs and 1 cup of panko breadcrumbs and a little bit of salt and pepper. Now I'm also going to season my chicken with a little bit of salt, some black pepper, and some cayenne pepper. So now I'm just using my fingers and I'm just rubbing in the seasoning so that the chicken is well coated. Now I'm adding some mozzarella cheese on one side only of each chicken breasts. Next, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour all over the edges of the chicken, and this is going to help the chicken stick together once you fold it in half. I'm then going to fold the chicken over the cheese, and you want to make sure to press down on the edges so that they stick together properly. Now we're going to start dipping our chicken into our 3 bowls, and I'm going to start with the flour, then the egg wash, and then the breadcrumbs. As you can see, to make things easier, I'm using one hand for the dry ingredients, and then the other hand I'm using only for the egg wash. You just want to pat as much of the breadcrumbs that you can on the chicken, get it all nice and coated. Now that our chicken is nicely coated, we are going to brown them. So I have heated up some oil here in a large skillet. The recipe says to use canola oil, but I'm using avocado oil. So you want to make sure that your oil is nice and hot, but do not keep your heat setting on high or you will burn your chicken. We're just looking to brown the chicken and not cook it all the way through because we're actually going to be putting this in the oven. So I just let this cook for about 2 minutes on each side, and now I'm going to place them on a baking sheet and cook them in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes. You're looking for an internal temperature of 165. This chicken was phenomenal. I knew it was going to be good, but not this good. There's definitely a lot of prep involved, but I think it's worth it. This would be a great meal for a date night or a special occasion. Really, really good. Highly recommend it. Really excited to try another recipe from this book. Alright you guys, so that is it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this collaboration video. Don't forget to check out that playlist. Again, it will be linked down below. Also, if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, please consider doing so. It's that little red subscribe button down below. It's completely free. And also, don't forget to click that notification bell so that you're notified when I post a new video. Thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, I will see you again in my next one. Bye guys.